श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम गोपिका जीवन स्मरणं गोविंदा गोविंदा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। नमो नमः सद्गुरुभ्यः सद्गुरुभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो नमः सद्गुरुभ्यः सद्गुरुभ्यो नमो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। यस्वानुभावमखिल श्रुतिसारमेकम् अध्यात्मदीपम् अतितितीर्षतां तमो संसारिणां करुणयाः पुराणगुह्यं तं व्याससूनुमुपयामि गुरुं मुनीनां। योगीन्द्राय नमस्तस्मै शुकाय ब्रह्मरूपिणे संसारसर्पदष्टं यो विष्णुरातममुमुचत कालव्यालमुखग्रास त्रासनिर्नाशहेतवे श्रीमद्भागवतं शास्त्रं कलौकीरेण भाषितम् एतस्मादपरं किञ्चित् मनःशुद्ध्यै न विद्यते जन्मान्तरे भवेत् पुण्यं तदा भागवतं लभेत् ज्ञानवैराग्यसम्पूर्णान् हरिभक्तिपरायणान् पूर्वाचार्यातहं वन्दे सम्प्रदायप्रवर्तकान् भगवन्नाम साम्राज्य लक्ष्मी सर्वस्व विग्रहं श्रीमद्बोधेन्द्र योगीन्द्र देशिकेन्द्रम् उपास्महे। कलिकालोचितं धर्मं नाम संकीर्तनात्मकं निर्णेतुमवतीर्णं तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे। हरे रामेति कृष्णेति नाम संकीर्तनं सदा लोकक्षेमाय कुर्वन्तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयात् इतरतश्चार्तेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनं श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषिभिस्तत्क्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् श्रीमद्भागवताख्योऽयं प्रत्यक्षः कृष्ण एव हि स्वीकृतोऽसि मया नाथ मुक्त्यर्थं भवसागरे मनोरथो मदीयोऽयं सफलः सर्वदा त्वया निर्विघ्नेनैव कर्तव्यो दासोऽहं तव केशव। श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः। गोपिका जीवन स्मरणं गोविंदा गोविंदा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Good afternoon everyone. Okay, so we'll do a review of 3.6 from 11. Maybe Revati Ninga, can you do like about, I think we have 44 stanzas. You can do 22 and then Kalpana, you can do 22. Revati, you're there?
I am.
Okay.
Which one?
3.6 from 11.
Okay. What a second. I came to 15.
No, from 11. 3.6 from 11.
Yes.
Okay.
One second. Okay. Can you ask up the first person, second person to go?
Kalpana, can you go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Varam Vividam Banam Muram Balvalameva cha.
Oh, sorry, 150. 3.6.
Oh, which one am I doing?
I don't know which you're doing. Yeah, I think you're saying doing an old one. 3.6. Ata tasyabi taptasya.
Sorry. Sorry.
எடுக்க டைம் ஆகுது.
Yeah, okay. I was doing 3.3.
Tritiya.
Maybe okay. Then I'm not actually practiced. I practiced the wrong one. So sorry, Rajesh.
I can do it.
Do it, Revati. Go ahead.
Okay. Give me a second. 6:11. Sorry, Rajesh.
Rajesh later
Anandji, why don't you go ahead? Okay.
I got it. Adatasya vitaptasya. Adane?
Ada.
Okay. Adatasya apitaptasya gadicha yadananiha nirapityan tatat devanam tani me kadatas shrunu tasyagmirasyam nirvinnam lokabalo vishatpatam vacha swamshena vaktavyam yayasau pradipatyate nirvinnam talu varuno lokapalo vishaddharehe जिह्व्यां सेन सरसं ययासौ प्रतिपद्यते निर्भिन्ने अश्विनौ नासे विष्णोराविशतां पदं प्राणेनां सेनकन्दस्य प्रतिपत्तिर्यदो भवेत् निर्भिन्ने अक्षिणी त्वष्टा लोहबालो अविशद्विभोः चक्षुषां सेनरूपाणां प्रतिपत्तिर्यदो भवेत् निर्भिन्नान्यस्य शर्माणि लोकपालो निलोविशत् प्राणेन अंशेन संस्पर्शं येनाशौ प्रतिपद्यते कर्णावस्य विनिर्भिन्नौ दिशिन्यं स्वं विभुषुर्दिशः श्रोत्रेण
बिभिषुर्दिशः
श्रोत्रेण अंशेन शब्दस्य सिद्धिं येन प्रपद्यते त्वसमस्य विनिर्भिन्नां विभिषुः दिशन्यम् औषधिः अंशेन ओषधीः ओके सॉरी त्वचमस्य विनिर्भिन्नां विभिषुः दिशन्यम् ओषधीः अंशेन रोमभिर्कण्डुं यैरसौ प्रतिपद्यते मेढ्रं तस्य विनिर्भिन्नं स्वदिशन्यं क उभाविशत् रेदसां सेनयेनासौ आनन्दं प्रतिपद्यते कुदम्बुंसो विनिर्भिन्नं मित्रो लोकेश आविशत् वायूनां सेनयेनासौ विसर्गं प्रतिपद्यते हस्तावस्य विनिर्भिन्नौ इन्द्रस्वर्पदिराविशत् वार्तायां सेनपुरुषो यया वृत्तिं प्रपद्यते.
So Purusho is the halfway mark. Vartayam Shena
पुरुषो यया वृत्तिं प्रपद्यते पादावस्य विनिर्भिन्नौ लोकेशो विष्णुराविशत् गद्या स्वांशेन पुरुषो यया प्राप्यं प्रपद्यते बुद्धिं चास्य विनिर्भिन्नां वागीशो दिष्ण्यम् आविशत् बोधेनां सेन पोतव्य प्रतिपत्तिर्यदो भवेत् हृदयं
Bodhavyam, add an im there at the Bodhavyam.
ओहो बोधें नाम सेन पोतव्य प्रतिपत्ति ओके बोधे नाम सेन बोद्धव्यम ओके बोधे नाम सेन बोद्धव्यम प्रतिपत्तिर्यदो भवेत् हृदयं चास्य निर्भिन्नं चन्द्रमादिष्ण्यमाविशत् मनसां सेन येनासौ विक्रियां प्रतिपत्यते आत्मानं चास्य निर्भिन्नं अभिमानो विशत्पदं कर्मणां सेनयेनाशौ कर्तव्यं प्रतिपत्यते सत्वं चास्य विनिर्भिन्नं महान् दिष्ण्यम् उपाविशत् चित्तेनां सेनयेनासौ विज्ञानं प्रतिपत्यते शीष्णोऽस्यद्योत्तरा पद्भ्यां कं नाभेरुदपत्यत गुणानां वृत्तयो येषु प्रदीयन्ते सुरादयः आत्यन्तिकेन सत्त्वेन दिवं देवाः प्रवेदिरे त्राम्रजस्वभावेन प्रणयो ये च ताननु.
A few corrections there. One on the Devaha, F will come there, right? So Divam Devah Prapedire. And then the second line after dharam rajaswabhavena, comma.
Deva Pratipadira.
Deva prapedire.
Right. Adiyantikena satvena tivam deva prabedire taram rajasvabhavena panayo ye chananu dartiyena swabhavena bhagavanabhimashritaha ubayor antaram vyoma e rudra parshatam ganaha muhato vartada brahma purushasya gurutvaha यस्तून् मुहत्वात् वर्णानां मुख्यो भूद्ब्राह्मणो गुरुः बाहुप्यो वर्तदक्षत्रं क्षत्रियस्तत् अनुव्रतः यो जादस्त्रायते वर्णान् पौरुषः कण्डकक्षतात् विशो वर्तन्त तस्योर्वोः लोकवृत्तिर्करिर्विभोः वैश्यस्तत् उद्भवो वार्तां नृणां यः समवर्तयत् पद्भ्याम्.
You can stop there.
Okay.
Vijay, நீங்க பண்றீங்களா அடுத்தது next thing?
பண்றேன். पत्यां भगवतो जिग्ने शुश्रूषा धर्मसिद्धये तस्यां जातपुरा सूत्रो यत्प्रत्यादुष्यते हरिः एते वर्णा स्वधर्मेण यजन्ति स्वगुरुं हरिं श्रद्धयात्मविशुद्ध्यर्थं यज्ञाता सहृदि वृत्विभिः एतच्छित्त भगवतो दैवकर्मात्मरूपिणः कसरत्तत्यात् उपाकर्तुं योगमाया फलोदयम्.
Upakartum is that halfway point, okay? Upakartum.
Okay. कस्तृत्तत्यातुपाकर्तुं योगमाया फलोदयम् अधा विकीर्तयां यङ्ग यदा मति यदा श्रुतं कीर्तिं हरे स्वां सत्कर्तुं क्रम अन्यापि तासतीं
giram anyabhidasatim.
गिरम् अन्यापिधासतीम् एकान्तलाभं वचसोऽनुपुंसां सुश्लोकमौले गुणवादमाहुः हृदेश्च विद्वद्विभिउपकृतायां कदा सुधायाम् उपसंप्रयोगम् आत्मनो वसितो वत्स महिमा कविनाधिना संवत्सर सहस्रान्ते ध्यायोगविभक्वया अदो भगवतो मायिनाम् अभिमोहिनी यत्स्वयं चात्मवर्त्मात्मा न वेद किमुता परे यदो प्राप्य न्यवर्तन्त वाचश्च मनसा सह अहं सान्य इमो देवाः तस्मै भगवते नमः.
Chinna correction. Ime devaha. Last line.
इमे देवाः तस्मै भगवते नमः. इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां द्वितीयस्कन्धे षष्ठोऽध्यायः. அடுத்தது சொல்லலாம் இல்லையா? अद तृतीयस्कन्ध सप्तमोऽध्यायः. श्रीसुक उवाच एवं ब्रुवाणं मैत्रेयं तद्वैपायन सुधो पुदः प्रीणयन्निव भारत्या विदुर प्रत्यभाक्षत. विदुर उवाच ब्रह्मन् कथं भगवतः चिन्मात्रस्य विकारिणः लीलया चापि युज्येरन् निर्गुणस्य गुणाक्रियाः क्रीडायाम् उद्यमोर्पश्य कामश्चिक्रीडी शान्त्यतः स्वतस्तृप्तस्य च कदं निवृत्तस्य सदान्यतः भगवान् विश्वं गुणमय्यात्ममायया तया संस्थापयत्येतद् भूय दास्यति दोष देशद कालतो योऽसौ अवस्थात स्वतोऽन्यतः अविलुप्तावबोधात्मा सयुज्येत एतादजया कथम् भगवान् एक एवैष सर्वक्षेत्रेषु अवस्थितः अमुष्य दुर्भगत्वं वा क्लेशो वा कर्मपि कुतः एतस्मिन् मे मनो विद्वन् कीर्त्यत यते यथेज्ञानसङ्कटे तन्नः
Tan,
परानुद
if sound, Tannaf Paranuda.
तन्नः परानुद विभो 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 कस्मलं मानसं महत् श्रीशुक उवाच सहितं चोदित शत्रा तत्त्वजिज्ञासुना मुनिः प्रत्याह भगवच्चित्तः स्मयन्निव कदस्मयः मैत्रेय उवाच सेयं भगवतो माया येन वृत्यते
Virudyate.
विरुध्यते ईश्वरस्य विमुक्तस्य कार्पण्यम् उत बन्धनं यदर्थेन विनामुष्य पुंस आत्मविपर्ययः प्रीति यद उपद्रष्टुः स्वशिरश्चेतनादिकः
And the second line, first word, Pratiyat.
प्रतीयत उपद्रष्टुः स्वशिरश्चेतनादिकः यदा जले चन्द्रमसः कम्पादितत् कृतो गुणः दृश्यते सन्नभिदृष्टुः आत्मनो नात्मनो गुणः
Which on the word, chinna word, Drashtuhu on the word. Not Drashtuhu.
द्रष्टुः दृश्यते ओके स वै निवृत्तिधर्मेण वासुदेवानुकम्पया भगवद्भक्तियोगेन तिरोधत्ते शनैरिह यदेन्द्रियोपरामोत द्रष्टत्रात्मनि परे हरौ विलीयन्ते तथा क्लेशाः संक्षुप्तस्येव कृत्स्नशः अशेषसङ्क्लेशसमं विदत्ते गुणानुवादश्रवणं मुरारेः कुतः पुनतच्चरणारविन्द परागसेवारतिरात्मलप्ता.
Very good. All right. So I'll say the meaning of 7 up to one half of it, because later on it's just a little bit more detailed questions. So we saw in the previous 2 chapters, right, in 5 and 6, what is called as Sarga, part of the creation. So Sarga is where all the fundamental elements and everything is getting, which is called the initial creation. Then once Brahma comes, everything that happens is called as Visarga, which is all the later on creations, the secondary creation, it is called primary and secondary creations, right? So we saw all of that, and then we saw how the Virat Purusha form was formed, and how from each of the part of Virat Purusha, the various things begin to manifest to create the basic infrastructure of the universe, right? That's what was happening in 2.5 and 2.6. Now this Virat Purusha form, this is the 3rd time we are actually listening to this in Bhagavatam itself. One, it came in 2.1 when Shuka Brahman started telling Parikshit with the Virat Purusha form. That's how he started in 2.1. Then in 2.5 and 2.6, Brahma said the same Virat Purusha form to Narada. Then again in 3.5 and 3.6, Maitreya is saying the same Virat Purusha form to Vidura. So why is it being said 3 times? Right? And the reason it is being said 3 times is so that it sticks in our mind as to what is the foundation of this, right? Because until the core, and I'll tell you what the core foundation is, until the core foundation is understood, everything else doesn't build later on. Because then we'll all have questions of how is that possible, how is this possible, if we do not understand that Virat Purusha. Like we said, the Virat Purusha is kind of like fictional, right? It is like a virtual definition of the Lord, right? But the core foundation that is coming in here is there's absolutely nothing that exists in this Brahmandam that did not come from the Bhagavan, right? And he alone is the source and the cause of everything that is there, no exception. That is the purpose of the Virat Purusha form. And that is why they're emphasizing it 3 different times, right? Because tomorrow you cannot go and ask, I'm not seeing Bhagavan anywhere. That means the assumption is flawed there, right? Because if every single thing has come from Bhagavan, that means the computer monitor I'm looking at, the atoms which make up the creation of that had Bhagavan in it, which means the computer screen is also Bhagavan, right? So there should be no exception as to what is not, right? So that is why they're saying it so many times, is that it completely sticks in our mind that we do not worry about, I'm imagining this form, so unless I see that form, I'm not going to believe it's Bhagavan, right? That belief cannot be there anymore, right? That's why they're saying it so many times, right? So that's why, anyway, that is what the basic foundation of this is, right? The Virat Purusha form is that every instance, every atom and things beyond it. So now with that, Shukha is telling the story, like we said, that is the upper thread of Shukha Brahmam saying to Parikshit, of Vidura now answering the question. Vidura now thanking. So Vidura is saying to Maitreya, Maitreya, you answered all my questions of the Virat, of the Sarga, right? I understand that. And then he has a few more questions. So he asked like 6 questions, right? I'll say the question and answers together because he first asks the questions, then Maitreya then answers it. So his first question he asks is that, like this is kind of come before, right? If the Bhagavan is outside of that material nature, the Prakriti and the all the gunas and everything, then no easy influenced by it. That is the first question. So Maitreya is very firmly assuring, saying that no, he is the creator is not bound or touched by any of the material creation that is there. He's independent of it, but he's responsible for the creation of it, right? So you cannot compare him to like normal human beings. When we interact with something, we are influenced by it. When we eat a sweet, we like that sweet. When we jump into the fire, we feel the heat. So we are bound by everything that is happening, but the creator is not. And the couple of examples are, one, he says that when a magician is causing an illusion trick, the people who are seeing the trick are getting caught, saying that, oh, something magic is happening, right? But the magician himself doesn't fall for the trick, right? He's independent of the trick. He doesn't fall for the trick, right? So that is how he says the creator cannot be bound by all of that. And several examples there. You can say, like an actor who plays a movie. You're watching a movie. People, what is that new Shiva Karthikeyan movie came? A lot of people cried in the theater, right? So because you are so attached to that movie or to the character who is actually who's playing in that movie, but the actor himself is actually not, because the actor is taking each of these scenes independently. He just comes out of the movie very easily. So that's what he says is you cannot compare yourself of how you interact with the material world versus how Bhagavan is interacting with the material world. So he's independent of it, he's outside of that. The second question Vidura asks is, we all do things because we have some desires. Kids go play because they have desires. So does Bhagavan create all this because he also has desire, right? He says no, Bhagavan absolutely doesn't have any desire, because the moment one has desire to do something, you are bound to the outcome of it. Because you like to do something, then means you start doing it, which means the result of it you will either like or not like, which means you're happy or sad. Right? So the entire creation, the Bhagavan is not attached to it at all. It is just our ignorance that we keep thinking that he wants to create. There's no wanting. There's no desire for him to create. Right? So that is second thing he's explaining there. The third thing he kind of says is, another continuation of the first question, only similar related question. The example he gives is when you have the sun which is shining, the light which is coming from the sun is touching on the earth. It gives us light. It gives us all warmth. The trees are growing because of the sunlight that is actually falling, right? But that is to some extent the sun, while the sun is driving all of these things, you don't have to go touch the sun, right? The influence of the sun is causing all of these things. Just like how the sunlight, the heat from the sun can burn everything. But the sun itself doesn't self burn because of the heat it is generating. right? So that is kind of, those are some of the examples he's kind of giving, like a analogy, right, to kind of say how, and he gives another example there. He says that when you look into a muddy water puddle, and let's say you're seeing the sun or you're seeing the moon, doesn't matter. When the water shakes, the sun appears or the moon appears to shake in the water. But the sun or moon actually is not shaking. For us, it's appearing like that. So he says you always have to remember that Brahman, that Purusha is always absolute. That Purusha doesn't change. Everything you are seeing is other things which are changing, which are all reflections of him, but he doesn't change, or the Purusha, it doesn't change at all, and that is what is causing it. And then the last question, couple of questions he asks is, if the individual soul has a Paramatma inside of it, why does it still fall into this illusion that is getting created? So he beautifully explains Maya here to kind of little bit saying that all of this is because of the Maya of the Lord, and what the Maya of the Lord is, illusion. What it is we all think we are our body. That's the only illusion that is there, right? And it's a fundamental thing. If our body gets hurt, or if something happens to our body, we get worried because we still associate ourselves with the body. So that is the illusion we are all living under. The moment you realize that you are not your body and your soul just decided to take this body in this birth, and it is not yours, then he says that illusion will go away, right? And the classic example, if any of you have tried the VR headset or Oculus, any of the headsets, you are immersed in it. You really feel that you are the character, you are that person. But the moment you remove the Oculus or the VR headset, you realize it was just a simulation that was going on. He says that is what you will realize when you die. The moment you die, your soul gets out and says, you know what a fool I was. I really kept thinking I am that, right? But that was just a body I took for this birth, right? But I am way more than that. But we don't realize it during our lifetime, right? That is the illusion we are remaining under. So Vidura says there are three types of people in this. He says that people who are ignorant were always happy, who don't understand anything, they are always happy. Then there are people who are jnanis, who understand everything, so they are always happy. Then there are everybody else who's stuck in between, who don't truly understand this, but are still getting attached to these things, right? Still getting attached, who are always the people who are stuck in the middle, right? You either have to be on the left side or on the right side, right? So being in the middle is a little bit of a challenge. So anyway, he says the only way to overcome this is, again, always refer back to the Virat Purusha thing also, to say that the Bhagavan is there inside of everything, and all of this is just an illusion. I am the same as that Lord, and I've just taken this birth in this body and not get attached to the body and the thing. And the way to get out of it, he says, is somewhere he'll say bhakti eva or something. So he says the only way is complete devotion, because that will eventually kill everything. And the reason people make bad choices, he says, why do people still make bad choices? Is because they are not connected. If you're always connected to the Lord, then you won't make those bad choices, because you know everything is the Lord. So you won't feel like hurting anything. You won't feel like causing pain to others, right? Because you're seeing everybody as different and Bhagavan not in them, you feel like doing something to them or something to anything, right? So that's what he's kind of explaining up to like about 14 or 15, where he's kind of clarifying, but he's saying, thanks, I understand everything you have taught me so far, Vidura is saying. And he also summarizes a little bit to say that I now understand how the elements got created. I know how the Virat Purusha has formed, and how the Virat Purusha is now going to create the rest of the universe. So now tell me all the other Visarga things that happen, which is starting from Brahma, right? So now that the Brahmandam is getting created, the Virat Purusha has now created all the recipe. Now Brahma is going to come. Now Brahma is going to create all the 14 worlds, create all the beings. So that's where from 15 to the end of the chapter, he asks a whole bunch of questions, right? And then with some of the questions as he's going through, I'll cannot tell what it is, but essentially he's asking about, tell about all the Manus, tell about all the children, tell about how the 14 worlds, tell about the things which are born by birth through pregnancy, things which are born through sweat, things which are born through eggs. So kind of talk about everything, talk about all the worlds which are there, talk about various things. And the reason he says this is important is to realize that even all of that is because of Bhagavan. It's all connected. If it is not connected, Vidura is not going to ask that question, and Maitreya also is not going to answer it, right? So it says it's all relevant because it talks about the the value that Bhagavan is adding. It's all his leela, because of which all of this is happening. So that's how this chapter comes to an end. It pretty much is Vidura asking all these questions to Maitreya. Okay, so we'll start from 15. Let me see who I had. Meera and Ninga, you can be a student, and Shanti, you can be a student. So we'll just do one time today, since we have only like 45 minutes left. So Vidura Vacha Sanchinnas Samshayo Mahyam, Tava Suktasina Vibho Ubhayatrapi Bhagavan, Mano Me Sampradhavati. Vidura Vacha Sanchinnas Samshayo Mahyam Tava Suktasina Vibho Ubhayatrapi Bhagavan, Mano Me Sampradhavati.
Vidura Uvacha Sanchinnah Samshayo Mahyam Tava Suktasina Vibho Ubhayatrapi Bhagavan Mano Me Sampradhavati.
Shanti Irkela? She's on mute. Okay, let me see who else I had. Priya, Arun, you can be student. I don't know where Shanti is.
Sanchinnah samshayo mahyam tava suktasina vibho ubhayatrapi bhagavan mano me sampradhavati.
Satvetat vyahritam vidwan. So there's a double na. So you first put a in vidwan, comma. Next word will start with a. Atma mayayanam harehe abhatya partam nirmulam, comma. Vishwamulam na yad bahihi. Satvetat. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Shanti,
I'm there.
Okay, all right. So you can be the second. Sorry, Priya. Satvetat vyahritam vidvan atmamayayanam harehe abhatya partam nirmulam vishwamulam nayat bahihi.
Sadvetat vyahritam vidvan atmamayayanam harehe abhatya partham nirmulam vishwamulam nayat bahihi.
Satvedat vyahritam vidvan atmamayayanam harehe abhatya partam nirmulam vishwamulam nayat bahihi.
Sorry, that's okay. Shanti, you next round go student.
Oh.
I think Priya went.
Sorry, Rajesh.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. You continue, Priya. Shanti, you can be next.
No problem.
Yascha moodhatamo loke, comma, yascha buddhev param gataha tavubhau sukam edhete, comma, klishyat yantarito. That's one word. Klishyat yantarito janaha. Yascha moodhatamo loke yascha buddhev param gataha tavubhau sukam edhete klishyat yantarito janaha.
Yascha mudhatamo loke yascha buddhev param gataha tavubhau sukhamedhete klishyayantarito janah.
Yakshamoodatamo loke yaksha buddhe param gataha tavubhau sukhamedete klishyatyantarito janah.
Priya, I'm hearing a iksh sound. Ishad. Yascha. And the rendu word.
Yascha.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, ish and the cha. Artha bhavam vinishchitya, comma, pratitasyapi natmanah tam chapi yushmach charana, put a plus, sevayaham paranude. Artha bhavam vinishchitya pratitasyapi natmanah tam chapi yushmach charana sevayaham paranude.
Arthabhavam vinishchitya pratitasyapi natmanah tam chapi yushmatcharana sevayaham paranude.
Arthabhavam vinishchitya pratitasyapi natmanah tam chapi yushmacharana sevayaham paranude.
So this first, like Vidura, the first 6 questions were answers were done until 14. From now, he's thanking and then kind of summarizing what he knows, and he says that I am really blessed because I'm getting a guide like you, Maitreya. He says, I have done so much punyam to be able to get a person like you who can then get me and make me understand and realize all of these things. Yat sevaya bhagavatah, कूटस्थस्य मधुद्विषः रतिरासो भवेत् तीव्रः, पादयोर्व्यसनार्दनः. यत्सेवया भगवतः कूटस्थस्य मधुद्विषः रतिरासो भवेत् तीव्रः, पादयोर्व्यसनार्दनः.
यत्सेवया भगवतः कूटस्थस्य मधुद्विषः रतिरासो भवेत् तीव्रः, पादयोर्व्यसनार्दनः.
यत्सेवया भगवतः कूटस्थस्य मधुद्विषः रतिरासो भवेद्तीव्रः, पादयोर्व्यसनार्दनः.
The second line just before the comma, तीव्रः, first ta.
These written. तीव्रः. Sorry.
दुरापा ह्यल्प तपसः, सेवा वैकुंठ वर्त्मसु यत्रोपगीयते नित्यं, देवदेवो जनार्दनः. दुरापा ह्यल्प तपसः सेवा वैकुंठ वर्त्मसु यत्रोपगीयते नित्यं, देवदेवो जनार्दनः.
दुरापा ह्यल्पतपसः सेवा वैकुण्ठवर्त्मसु यत्रोपगीयते नित्यं, देवदेवो जनार्दनः.
दुरापा ह्यल्पतपसः सेवा वैकुण्ठवर्त्मसु यत्रोपगीयते नित्यं, देवदेवो जनार्दनः.
Anybody who has done alpa tapas, anybody who has done just very mere austerities, he says they will not get the association of somebody who's truly devoted. So he says, he's telling Maitreya, I've done something because of which I've gotten your association, because it wouldn't be very easy if I had just done some austerities, right? Srishtwagre mahadadini, sa vikaranyanu-kramat, one word, sa vikaranyanu-kramat tebhyo virajam udhritya, tamanu pravishat vibuhu. Srishtwagre mahadadini savikaranyanu-kramat tebhyo virajam udhritya tamanu pravishat vibuhu.
सृष्ट्वाग्रे महदादीनि सविकारान्यनुक्रमात् तेभ्यो
विराजम्
उद्धृत्य तमनुप्राविशद्विभुः.
दृष्ट्वाग्रे महदादीनि सविकाराण्यनुक्रमात् तेभ्यो विराजम् उद्धृत्य तमनुप्राविशद्विभुः.
यमाहुराद्यं पुरुषं, सहस्रांग्र्यूरु. So that word cannot break it. So it's sahasra angri uru. Okay, so the 1,000 feet. So he's talking about the Purusha, which has got 1,000 feet and thighs and everything. So sahasra angri uru bahukam. Bahu is hands, right? So sahasrangryuru bahukam, one word. Yatra vishwa ime lokaha, sa vikasam samasate. Yamahuradhyam purusham sahasrangryuru bahukam yatra vishwa ime lokaha sa vikasam samasate.
यमाहुराद्यं पुरुषं सहस्राङ्ग्युरुबाहुकं यत्र विश्व इमे लोकाः सविकासं समासते.
அந்த வேர்ட் கொஞ்சம் பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ணுங்க. அது வந்து நீங்க வந்து சஹஸ்ராங்கிரி ஊரு keep saying those two words together. It'll become sahasrangryuru.
Okay.
Sahasrangri one word, uru another word. So just keep
சொல்ல
trying
முடியாதா ராஜேஷ்?
huh?
ஸ்ப்ளிட் பண்ணி சொல்ல முடியாதா? சஹஸ்ராங்கிரி
The Sandhi rule is you have to kind of say it together. That's how it is. You know, when such two words come together in Sanskrit, they always join it.
यमाहुराद्यं पुरुषं सहस्राङ्ग्रियोरुपाह அதுக்கப்புறம் எப்படி சொல்லணும்?
Bahukam.
சஹஸ்ராங்கிரியோரு
Sahasrangriyuru Bahukam.
बाहुकम्. ओके. सहस्राङ्घ्रियोरु बाहुकम् यत्र विश्व इमे लोकाः सविकासं समासधे सते.
Yasmin dashabidaf pranaha, comma, Sendriyartendriyas. So it's again one word. Sendriya, Artha, Indriya. Three different words. Sendriyartendriyas, Trivrit. Tvayerito yato varnaha. So that is that is there. You put a visarga comma because you're stopping there. Tad vibhutir vadasvanaha. Yasmin dashabidah pranaha sendriyartendriyas trivrit tvayerito yato varnaha tad vibhutir vadasvanaha.
यस्मिन् दशविधः प्राणः सेन्द्रियार्तेन्द्रियस्त्रिवत् त्वयेरितो यतो वर्णाः तद्विभूतिर्वदस्वनः.
यस्मिन् दशविधः प्राणः सेन्द्रियार्तेन्द्रियस्त्रिवृद् त्वयेरितो यतो वर्णाः तद्विभूतिर्वदस्वनः.
Yatra putraischa pautraischa, comma, naptribis saha gotrajaihi praja vichitrakritayah. Because we are going to put a comma there, we are going to put a visarga. Vichitrakritayah, comma, asan yabiridam tatam. He's talking about that the process eventually all from the Manu creation itself, right? Putra, sons, Pautra, grandsons, and Naptra is great grandson. So kind of saying, tell me the entire hierarchy. That's where we're going to see Swayambhuva, Manukam, Uttana Padakam, Dhruva coming, then Dhruva Charitram, his children, all of that, the Naptrus, up to all that level is going to come Priyavrata. So that's the question he's asking, because of which all those charitrams are going to come later. Yatra putraischa pautraischa naptrubis saha gotrajaihi praja vichitrakritayah asanya biridham tatam.
यत्र पुत्रैश्च पौत्रैश्च नप्तृभिः सह गोत्रजैः प्रजा विचित्राकृतयः आसन् याभिरिदं ततम्.
यत्र पुत्रैश्च पौत्रैश्च नप्तृभिः सह गोत्रजैः प्रजा विचित्राकृतयः आसन्याभिरिदं ततम्.
Prajapatinam cha patihi. That ish, again put a visarga comma, patihi. Next word will start with a cha. Chaklupe kan prajapatin sargams chaivanu sargamscha. One word. Sargams chaivanu sargamscha, comma, manun manvantaradipan. So talking about all the prajapatis who are there, and then what is happening to them, and then their descendants and the manus. Talk about all of them in detail. Prajapatinam sapatihi chaklupekan prajapatin sargamschayvanu sargamscha manun manvantaradhipan.
प्रजापतीनां सपतिः चक्रुपे कान् प्रजापतीन् सर्गांश्चैवानुसर्गांश्च मनून्मन्वन्तराधिपान्.
प्रजापतीनां सपतिः चक्लुपेकान् प्रजापतीन् सर्गांश्च चैवानुसर्गांश्च मनून्मन्वन्तराधिपान्.
Priya, the first word, sargamschayvanu.
सर्गांश्चैवानुसर्गांश्च
एतेषामपि वंशांश्च, वंशानु चरितानि च uparyadhascha ye lokaha. Again add a visarga because you're putting a comma there. Bhumer mitratma jasate. He's talking about, now in Bhagavatam it talks in detailed about all the 14 worlds. He'll talk about the dimensions, how far is Satyaloka from Janaloka, from Tapaloka to Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, all of that. That's what he's telling. So he's saying relative to this Bhuloka, you tell me where are all the other worlds which are there? What are the dimensions of those worlds? And how big are they? How far are they from each other and everything? एतेषामपि वंशांश्च वंशानुचरितानि च उपर्यदश्च ये लोकाः भूमेर्मित्रात्मजासते
एतेषामपि वंशांश्च वंशानुचरितानि च उपर्यधश्च ये लोकाः भूमेर्मित्रात्मजासते
एतेषामपि वंशांश्च वंशानुचरितानि च उपर्यदर्श ये लोकाः भूमेर्मित्रात्मजासते.
All right, we'll just switch it 3 o'clock. Priya Sriram, you can be student, and Shanti, you can. तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं च भूर्लोकस्य च वर्णय तिर्यं मानुष देवानां सरीसृप पतत्रिणाम् तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं च भूर्लोकस्य च वर्णय तिर्यं मानुष देवानां सरीसृप पतत्रिणाम्
तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं च भूर्लोकस्य च वर्णय तिर्यं मानुषदेवानां सरीसृपपतत्रिणाम्.
ராஜேஷ், அடுத்த ஸ்லோகமும் என்னோடதுல சேர்ந்து வருது.
Say,
20.
I was going to say that. எங்களுக்கெல்லாம் 3 lines இருக்கு.
எனக்கும் 3 lines. I missed it, so I'll say
Okay.
that in 3. I was going to just combine later with. Yeah, you're right. It's 3 lines.
Sure.
Pada
Thank you.
na sarga samvyuham, gharba sweda dvijodbidam. Vadana sarga samyuham gharba sweda dvijodbidam.
तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं च भूर्लोकस्य च वर्णय तिर्यं मानुषदेवानां सरीसृपपतत्रिणाम् वदनः सर्गसंयूहं गार्भस्वेदद्विजोद्भिदाम्.
तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं च भूर्लोकस्य च वर्णय त्रियं मानुषदेवानां सरीसृपपदत्रिणां वदनः सर्गसंयुगं कार्बस्वेदद्विजोद्भिदाम्. I think I messed up the tune.
That's okay. And the second line, first word, tiryang, ing sound.
त्रियं मानुषदेवानां.
Yeah. Gunavatarir vishwasya, sarga sthityapyayashrayam. That's one word. Sthityapyayashrayam. Sridash ish Srinivasasya, vyachakshvodara vikramam. That's also one long word there. Gunavatarir vishwasya sargastityapyayashrayam srijata Srinivasasya vyachakshvodara vikramam.
गुणावतारैर्विश्वस्य सर्गस्थित्यप्ययाश्रयं सृजत श्रीनिवासस्य व्याचक्ष्वोदारविक्रमम्.
गुणावतारैर्विश्वस्य सर्गस्थित्यप्यययाश्रयं सृदज श्रीनिवासस्य व्यासक्षोभोदारविग्रहम्.
And the first line after the comma, sargastityapyayashrayam.
Sargastityapyayashrayam. Okay.
So here is asking about the deities Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu in the context of this Brahmandam. Okay, I don't want to answer it now, but we'll answer it when we go to that Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, everything in the later chapters. So he's saying the Srinivasa, everybody who's there in the context of this Brahmandam, also talk to me about that. Varnashrama vibhagamscha, rupa shila swabhavatah, rishinam janma karmadi, vedasya cha vikarshanam. Varnashrama vibhagamscha, rupa shila swabhavatah, rishinam janma karmadi, vedasya cha vikarshanam.
वर्णाश्रमविभागांश्च रूपशीलस्वभावतः ऋषीणां जन्मकर्मादि वेदस्य च विकर्षणम्.
वर्णाश्रमविभागांश्च रूपलीलस्वभावतः ऋषीणां जन्मकर्मादि वेदस्य च विकर्षणम्.
Rupashila, second after the comma. Okay. Rupa Shila Swabhava. So the Varnashrama, which is kind of saying the division classification as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, again, it is very clear it is not by birth, it is by the activities you do, right? And it says how you have some natural tendencies, right? Each one has some natural tendencies. And then you have the behavior, which is how you decide to act, which is the second aspect of it. Then the third thing it talks about is how balanced you are in mind. How number 4 is how you keep your senses under control. So what you are born with, how you are behaving, how you are able to manage your senses, control your senses, and how you are able to manage your mind. It is only based on all these 4 things is the Varnashrama divisions made, saying that based on all of these things you can be a Kshatriya, because that requires a lot of passion and the anger, courage that is required. Well, for a Brahmana that is not needed for the kind of role they are playing. Right? So depending on your mental state and all of that, the Varnashrama is there. Anyway, he's asking about that also. Yajnasya cha vitanani, yogasya cha patah prabho, naishkarmyasya cha sankyasya, tantram va bhagavat smritam. Yajnasya cha vitanani, yogasya cha patah prabho, naishkarmyasya cha sankyasya, tantram va bhagavat smritam.
Yajnasya cha vitanani, yogasya cha patah prabho, naishkarmyasya cha sankyasya, tantram va bhagavat smritam.
यज्ञस्य च विधानानि योगस्य च पदप्रभो नैष्कर्म्यश्च साङ्गस्य तन्त्रं वा भगवत् स्मृतम्.
Second line before the comma, sankyasya.
Sankyasya. Okay. Sankyasya.
Pakhanda pata vaishamyam, pratiloma niveshanam, jivasya gatayo yascha, yavatir guna karmajaha. Multiple things here, but one of the things he's asking is how, based on the karma somebody does and the qualities, how they can go up and how they can come down. I don't think he directly addresses that, okay, in terms later on, but through various examples, right, it will be conveyed of how when you do good things, you get elevated, and somebody who's in an elevated state, that's a bad thing and is going to get downgraded. So it gets addressed that way, but not too directly. Pakhanda pata vaishamyam pratiloma niveshanam jivasya gatayo yascha yavatir guna karmajaha.
Pakhanda vaishamyam pratiloma niveshanam jivasya gatayo yascha yavatir guna karmajaha.
पाखण्डपदवैषम्यं प्रतिलोमनिवेशनं जीवस्य गतयो याश्च यावदीर्गुणकर्मजाः.
Dharmartha kama mokshanam, nimittanya virodhatah. One word, nimittanya virodhatah. Vartaya dandanitescha, shrutasya cha vidhim pritak. Dharmartha kama mokshanam nimittanya virodhatah. Vartaya dandanitescha shrutasya cha vidhim pritak.
धर्मार्थकाममोक्षाणां निमित्तान्यविरोधतः वार्ताया दण्डनीतेश्च श्रुतस्य च विधिं पृथक्.
धर्मार्थकाममोक्षाणां निमित्तान्यविरोधतः वार्ताया दण्डनीतेश्च श्रुतस्य च विधिं पृथक्.
श्राद्धस्य च विधिं ब्रह्मन्, पितॄणां सर्गमेव च ग्रह नक्षत्र ताराणां, कालावयव संस्थितिम्. So again, coming to those other planetary systems which are there, he talks about how are those getting created, the Pitru lokas. What is the concept of time in all of those lokas? Because the time is different between Bhulokam and all the other lokams. So what is 1 year there? What does that translate to in the other lokas? That's the question here. Shraddhasya cha vidim brahman pitrunam sargame vacha graha nakshatra taranam kalavayava samstitim.
श्राद्धस्य च विधिं ब्रह्मन् पितॄणां सर्गमेव च ग्रहनक्षत्रताराणां कालावयवसंस्थितिम्.
श्राद्धस्य च विधिं ब्रह्मन् पितॄणां सर्गमेव च ग्रहनक्षत्रधाराणां संस्थितिम्
दानस्य तपसो वापि यच्चेष्टापूर्तयोः फलं प्रवासस्तस्य यो धर्मो यश्च पुंस उतापदि short e दानस्य तपसो वापि यच्चेष्टापूर्तयोः फलं प्रवासस्तस्य यो धर्मो यश्च पुंस उतापदि
दानस्य तपसो वापि यच्चेष्टापूर्तयोः फलम् प्रवासस्थस्य यो धर्मो यश्च पुंस उतापदि
दानस्य तपसो वापि यच्चेष्टापूर्तयोः फलं प्रवासस्तस्य यो धर्मो यश्च पुंस उतापति
येन वा भगवांस्तुष्येद् धर्म योनिर्जनार्दनः संप्रसीदति वा येषाम्. So that may that is there, we'll just break it, put a im, yesham. Next word will start with the a. Etad akhyahi, if you want to break it, etad akhyahi chanaga. Asking, how do you please the ultimate Lord? What is the one way of pleasing? येन वा भगवांस्तुष्येद् धर्मयोनिर्जनार्दनः संप्रसीदति वा येषाम् एतदाख्याहि चानघ.
येन वा भगवांस्तुष्येत् धर्मयोनिर्जनार्दनः सम्प्रसीदति वा येषाम् एतदाख्याहि चानघ.
येन वा भगवांस्तुष्येत् धर्मयोनिर्जनार्दनः सम्प्रसीदति वा येषाम् एतदाख्याहि सानः.
अनुव्रतानां शिष्याणां पुत्राणां द्विजोत्तम अनापृष्टमपि ब्रूयुः. Put a visarga and comma there because we are pausing. Next, on top of that guravo, there is a ir that will go away. Guravo deenavatsalaha. Anuvratanam shishyanam putraanam chadvijottama anaprishtamapi bruyuhu guravo deenavatsalaha.
अनुव्रतानां शिष्याणां पुत्राणां च द्विजोत्तम अनापृष्टमपि ब्रूयुः गुरवो दीनवत्सलाः.
अनुव्रतानां शिष्याणां पुत्राणां च द्विजोत्तम अनापृष्टमि ब्रूयुः गुरवो दीनवत्सलाः.
Second line, first part. Anaprishhtamapi bruyuhu.
अनापृष्टमि ब्रूयुः. अनापृष्टमपि ब्रूयुः.
U is a short u. Bru is a long u. Bruyuhu. Yeah.
Bruyuhu.
Tattvanam bhagavamstesham, katidha pratisankramah tatremam ka upasiran, ka u swid anusherate. Swidanusherate, you can say it together, or swid anusherate if you want to break it. Tattvanam bhagavamstesham katidha pratisankramah tatremam ka upasiran kauswid anusherate.
तत्त्वानां भगवंस्तेषां कथिदा प्रतिसङ्क्रमः तत्रेमं क उपासीरन् क उस्विदनुशेरते.
तत्त्वानां बहवंस्तेषां कथिता प्रतिसङ्क्रमः तत्रेमं क उपासीरन् क उस्वित् अनुशेरते.
Talking about what are the different types of dissolutions or pralayam that are there, because there are multiple types, like we'll see later on, right? End of Brahma's day, end of Brahma's life, in between, all of that. So what are all the different types of pralayams and what happens in each of those pralayams as well? Okay, we'll just switch third one. So Sabita, you can be a student, and who did you had? Sundari, நீங்க இருக்கல இன்னைக்கு. Yeah. पुरुषस्य च संस्थानं, स्वरूपं वा परस्य च Jnanam cha naigamam yat tat. So you have like in Sanskrit, you have a the and a gu underneath of it. So you put a it, yat tat, comma. Next word will start with a gu. Guru Shishya Prayojanam. Purushasya cha samsthanam swarupam vaparasya cha jnanam cha naigamam yattat Guru Shishya Prayojanam.
तस्य च संस्थानं स्वरूपं वा परस्य च ज्ञानं च नैगमं यत्तत् गुरुशिष्यप्रयोजनम्
पुरुषस्य च संस्थानं स्वरूपं वा परस्य च ज्ञानं च नैगमं यत्तत् गुरुशिष्यप्रयोजनम्
निमित्तानि च तस्येह प्रोक्तान्यनघ one word प्रोक्तान्यनघ सूरिभिः स्वतो ज्ञानं कुतः पुंसां भक्तिर्वैराग्यमेव वा निमित्तानि च तस्येह प्रोक्तान्यनघ सूरिभिः स्वतो ज्ञानं कुतः पुंसां भक्तिर्वैराग्यमेव वा
निमित्तानि च तस्येह प्रोक्तान्यनघ सूरिभिः स्वतो ज्ञानं कुतः पुंसां भक्तिर्वैराग्यमेव वा
निमित्तानि च तस्येह प्रोक्तान्यनघसूरिभिः स्वतो ज्ञानं कुतः पुंसां भक्तिर्वैराग्यमेव वा
saying, and it'll be interesting. The next chapter, the first beginning of it, it'll talk about the parampara of how Srimad Bhagavatam gets translated from one guru to another shishya and so on, which is kind of a little bit, he's referring to that, preluding to that, saying, without all of that, without that parampara of being their guru shishya, how can one even develop devotional service? How can one even develop vairagyam or detachment? He says it's only possible because of that hierarchy, right? That is there. Which is going to come anyway in the next one. Etan me prichatah prashnan, hareh karma vivitsaya, bruhi megnyasya mitratvat. So you have a the there. We're going to break it. Put a it mitratvat, Next one will start with a ajaya nashta chakshushaha. Etan me prichatah prashnan हरेः कर्म विवित्सया ब्रूहि मे ज्ञस्य मित्रत्वात् अजया नष्टचक्षुषः
एतान् मे पृच्छतः प्रश्नान् हरेः कर्म विवित्सया ब्रूहि मे ज्ञस्य मित्रत्वात् अजया नष्टचक्षुषः
एतान् मे पृच्छतः प्रश्नान् हरेः कर्म विवित्सया ब्रूहि मे ज्ञस्य मित्रत्वात् अजया नष्टचक्षुषः
सर्वे वेदाश्च यज्ञाश्च तपो दानानि चानघ जीवाभय प्रधानस्य न कुर्वीरन् कलामपि. He says the reason all these answers to all of these questions are important is because amongst, even by, like we said, chanting all the Vedas, whatever benefit you get from all the Vedas, by performing all the yajnas, by performing all those, yajna, all the tapas, all the austerities, all the dhanam, all the charity. So whatever benefit you get from doing all of that, just understanding and listening to all the answers to this is going to be greater than that. So he says, so please tell me the answers to all of this because the answers to this are so superior. Sarve vedascha yajnascha tapodhanani chanagha jiva bhaya pradhanasya na kurviran kalamapi.
सर्वे वेदाश्च यज्ञाश्च तपोदानानि चानघ जीवा भयप्रदानस्य न कुर्वीरन् कलामपि
सर्वे वेदाश्च यज्ञाश्च तपोदानानि चानघ जीवा भयप्रदानस्य न कुर्वीरन् कलामपि.
Shri Shuka uvacha sa itham aprishta purana kalpaha kuru pradhanena muni pradhanaha prabruddha harsho bhagavat kathayam sanchoditastam prahasannivaha. So he says pradhanaha muni. So the person who is saying it is a great muni, which is Maitreya. And the person who's asking it is a great person of the Kuru dynasty, which is Vidura. So with that, Shuka is saying, because of him asking it, because he's a great person asking and it's a great person answering, he then goes and talks about the entire Bhagavata Purana. Shri Shukham Vacha Sa Ittama Prishta Purana Kalpaha Kuru Pradhanena Muni Pradhanaha Pravriddha Harsho Bhagavat Katayam Sanchoditastam Prahasannivaha.
श्रीशुक उवाच स इत्थमापृष्टपुराणकल्पः कुरु प्रधानेन मुनिप्रधानः प्रवृद्धहर्षो भगवत्कथायां सञ्चोदितस्तं प्रहसन्निवाह
श्रीशुक उवाच स इत्थम् अपृष्टपुराणकल्पः कुरु प्रधानेन मुनिप्रधानः प्रवृद्धहर्षो भगवत्कथायां सञ्चोदितस्तं प्रहसन्निवाह.
In the first line, Sa Ittam Aprishta.
Sa Ittam Aprishta.
Iti Srimad Bhagavate Mahapurane Paramahamsyam Samhitayam Tritiya Skandhe Saptamodhyayah.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे सप्तमोऽध्यायः.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे सप्तमोऽध्यायः.
Ashtamodhyayah. So in the 8th Dashakam is the creation of Brahma, how Brahma comes about. And then from 9, 10, 11, it will all start, all the other creation will start. Then Varaha Avataram will come and all the, the Sanat Kumaras, all of that will now start coming. But 8th one is the formation of Brahma anyways. Maitreyo Vacha Sat Sevaniyo Bata Puru Vamsho, Yelloka Palo Bhagavat Pradhanaha Bhabhuvi Tehajita, one word, Bhabhuvi Tehajita Kirti Malam, Pade Pade Nutana Yasya Bhikshnam, one word. Maitreyo Vacha Satsevaniyo Batapuru Vamsho Yelloka Palo Bhagavat Pradhanaha Bhabhuvi Tehajita Kirti Malam Pade Pade Nutana Yasya Bhikshnam.
मैत्रेय उवाच तत्सेवनीयो भतपूर्ववंशो यल्लोकपालो भगवत्प्रधानः बभूवितेहाजितकीर्तिमालां पदे पदे नूतनयस्य भीक्ष्णम्.
मैत्रेय उवाच सत्सेवनीयो बत पूर्ववंशो यल्लोकपालो भगवत्प्रधानः बभूवितेहाजितकीर्तिमालां पदे पदे नूतनयस्य भीक्ष्णम्.
सोऽहं नृणां क्षुल्ल सुखाय दुःखं महद्गतानां विरमाय तस्य प्रवर्तये भागवतं पुराणं यदाह साक्षात् भगवान् ऋषिभ्यः. सोऽहं नृणां क्षुल्ल सुखाय दुःखं महद्गतानां विरमाय तस्य प्रवर्तये भागवतं पुराणं यदाह साक्षात् भगवान् ऋषिभ्यः.
सोऽहं नृणां क्षुल्लसुखाय दुःखं महद्गतानां विरमाय तस्य प्रवर्तये भागवतं पुराणं यदाह साक्षात् भगवान् ऋषिभ्यः.
सोऽहं नृणां क्षुल्लसुखाय दुःखं महद्गतानां विरमाय तस्य प्रवर्तये भागवतं पुराणं यदाह साक्षात् भगवान् ऋषिभ्यः.
Asinam urvyam, you can break it that ma. Asinam urvyam bhagavantam adhyam, sankarshanam devamakuntha sattvam vivitsavas tattvamatah parasya, kumara mukhya munayonva prichan. Asinam urvyam bhagavantam adhyam sankarshanam devamakuntha sattvam Vivitsavastatvamatah parasya kumara mukhya munayonva prichan.
आसीनमुर्व्यां भगवन्तमाद्यं सङ्कर्षणं देवमकुण्ठसत्त्वं विवित्सवस्तत्त्वमतः परस्य कुमारमुख्यां मुनयोन्वपृच्छन्
आसीनम् उर्व्यां भगवन्तमाद्यं सङ्कर्षणं देवमकुण्ठसत्त्वं विवित्सवस्तत्त्वमतः परस्य कुमारमुख्या मुनयोन्वपृच्छन्
त्वमेव धिष्ण्यं बहु मानयन्तं मम यं वासुदेवाभिधम् आमनन्ति. You can break it that वासुदेवाभिधम् आमनन्ति प्रत्यग् धृताक्षाम्बुज धृताक्ष अम्बुज, remember that word, धृताक्षाम्बुज koshamishat. So the du that is there, we'll break it, put the it first, koshamishat, comma. Next word will start with the u. Unmilayantam vibudhoyadaya.
Rajesh, a quick question. கோஷமி அது ஒரு வாட்டி சொல்லுங்க எனக்கு.
அந்த வந்து உங்க புக்ல எப்படி இருக்குன்னு தெரியல, பட் இன் மை புக் இட் ஹஸ் கோஷமீஷது. Okay, so the koshamisadu we are breaking it into koshamishat and unmila.
Okay, அந்த கோஷமி வந்து தீர்க்கம் தானே?
ஆமா, me long e.
Okay, perfect. அதான் கேட்டேன். Thank you.
स्वमेव दिष्ण्यं बहुमानयन्तं यं वासुदेवाभिधमामनन्ति प्रत्यग्धृताक्षाम्बुजकोशमीशत् उन्मीलयन्तं विबुधो यदाय.
त्वमेव धिष्ण्यं बहुमानयन्तं यं वासुदेवाभिमनन्ति प्रत्यग्धृताक्षाम्बुजकोशमीशत् उन्मीलयन्तं विबुधोयदाय. विबुधोययाय वा दोदवा?
दोदयाय.
विबुधोदयाय.
You said one more time, so within the last two stanzas.
त्वमेव धिष्ण्यं बहुमानयन्तं यं वासुदेवाभिधमामनन्ति प्रत्यग्धृताक्षाम्बुजकोशमीशत् उन्मीलयन्तं विबुधोदयाय.
स्वमेव धिष्ण्यं बहुमानयन्तं यं वासुदेवाभिधमामनन्ति प्रत्यग्धृताक्षाम्बुजकोशमीशत् उन्मीलयन्तं विबुधोदयाय. Pardon?
You can say two times. I said this and the next.
2 times. Okay. स्वमेव धिष्ण्यं बहुमानयन्तं यं वासुदेवाभिधम् आमनन्ति प्रत्यग्धृताक्षाम्बुजकोशमीशत् उन्मीलयन्तं विबुधोदयाय.
So one more and stop. Swar dhunyudardrai. Okay, swar dhunyudardrais swa jata kalapaihi. So the ru that is there, you first put a visargan comma, kalapaihi, comma. Next word will start with the u. Upasprishantash charanopadhanam padmam yadarchantya hiraja. That's one word. Yadarchantya hiraja kanyaha, comma. Sa prema nana balibhir vararthaha. स्वर्धुन्युदार्द्रैस्वजटाकलापैः उपस्पृशन्तश्चरणोपधानं पद्मं यदर्चन्त्यहिराजकन्याः सप्रेमनानाबलिभिर्वरार्ताः.
स्वर्धुन्युदार्द्रैस्वजटाकलापैः उपस्पृशन्तश्चरणोपधानं पद्मं यदर्चन्त्यहिराजकन्याः सप्रेमनानाबलिभिर्वरार्ताः. स्वर्धुन्युदार्द्रैस्वजटाकलापैः उपस्पृशन्तश्चरणोपधानं पद्मं यदर्चन्त्यहिराजकन्याः सप्रेमनानाबलिभिर्वरार्ताः.
स्वर्धुन्युदार्द्रैस्वजटाकलापैः उपस्पृशान्तश्चरणोपधानं पद्मं यदर्चन्त्य हि राजकन्याः सप्रेम नानाबलिभिर्वरार्थाः.
அந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லைன்ல உபஸ்பிருஷந்தஷ்
उपस्पृशन्तश्. Okay. स्वर्धुन्युदाद्रैः स्वजटाकलापैः उपस्पृशन्तश्चरणोपधानं पद्मं यदर्चन्त्य हि राजकन्याः सप्रेम नानाबलिभिर्वरार्थाः.
Rajesh,
Ah.
can you just read one more time the sloka number 4, the last line? Unmila yantam vibuto dayayan solonama vibuto dayayana.
இல்ல அது வந்து விபுத உதயாய, so you cannot break it that way. So
Okay.
விபுதோதயாய, one word.
Vibuto dayaya. Okay.
Yeah, say it as one word.
Thank you.
Shri Hare Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha. Gopika Jeevana Smaranam Govinda Govinda. Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayeti samarpayami.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Bye everyone.